Okay, time for an update. It's been a little bit quiet around here, but that doesn't mean that nothing's been happening. I've been doing a lot of tinkering behind the scenes. The main thing I've been doing, well, the main thing of note I suppose, I've been having a go with X-Plane 11 just in a sort of introductory experimental kind of way, and I've decided I want to persist with that. I'm not switching wholesale to X-Plane or anything like that. I just want to give it a good go. Now, a number of things need to happen for me to be able to do that. The first is I've got to buy it. The demo's all very well, but it's really unrealistic playing with that when it expires I think it's every 30 minutes, and then it stops working and you have to restart. So I'm going to buy X-Plane 11. I don't know if it's still the beta version. I did see there was a release candidate out. Maybe they've released it by now. The other thing I'm going to do is buy spad.next. That's specifically to plug some of the holes in connecting up X-Plane to my switches and buttons and knobs. Yeah, I know very little at the moment about X-Plane. I was pleasantly surprised by the user interface and the facilities for connecting up switches and buttons to functions. It's refreshingly well thought out compared to FSX. Up to a point. Then I discovered that you can't bind operations to button up events, which you can do in FSX, even without FSU IPC, and that's a just completely bizarre and debilitating omission. But sure enough, it's not possible. A lot of people have discovered this, and it means, for one thing, you can't use toggle switches, because a toggle switch is the same as a button, except that it effectively stays pressed when you flip it one way, and then it's released when you flip it the other way. So anyway, cut a long story short, spad.next, thankfully, among the many other things that it does well, it allows you to do that, and I have verified that with the test version of spad.next, so I've got to buy that as well. Of course, I will need to buy the RW Designs Twin Otter, and then the work really starts. I've got to try figuring out how to convert at least some of the Air Manager Twin Otter gauges to work with X-Plane. I need the basic 6-pack, obviously. We might get away with that as a starting point. Then I can have my 2D panel and fly the Twin Otter in X-Plane pretty much the way I can in FSX, obviously without any of the systems connected up. But that's for later. I want to get a sense of how it actually flies. Now, all of that is enough work in its own right, but really the other thing I've established is my PC is not up to it, and so a PC upgrade is on the horizon, the very near horizon actually. Tomorrow I'm hoping to do that. I've been spending money this week, and I've got a big box of bits with everything I need. The other thing that's really prompted me to do that's not just to make my PC X-Plane capable. At the end of the day, I've been using this since 2012. It's a Sandy Bridge based PC, and it was a factory overclocked system, which in principle is great, and the performance is just about, acceptable. But in practice I found the overclock isn't really that reliable, and it blue screens with monotonous regularity, peculiarly enough. Not when you're running FSX. Generally, once FSX is up and running, it runs okay. Anyway, I don't want to go into too much detail about that. The net effect is that the thing blue screens far too often to really consider it reliable. And performance is, obviously a little bit dated now as well. So I'm going to jump ahead, and I've basically bought the guts of a much more powerful PC. It's an i7 7000K, is that right? Basically the best i7 you can buy at the moment, and it runs at a native clock frequency of 4.2 GHz with a turbo boost. I think it's an automatic turbo boost under load to 4.5 GHz. And what I've decided is it's not an overclocked bundle this time. I've just bought the components. I'm going to run it at stock speeds in the hope that it's going to be much more reliable. But of course it's an unlocked processor, so if I do feel the need and I can be bothered to put in the research time to figure out how to do it properly, that will clock, you know, some people will say as high as 5 gigahertz. So anyway, it gives me a bit of a ceiling to play with in the future. So that's all on the cards for well, hopefully this weekend I'll do the hardware. So what else can I tell you about that PC upgrade? Well, 32 gigabytes of RAM, I'm not going to muck about with that. X-Plane will be able to use that if FSX will not. I've recently upgraded this PC already to have solid state discs, so you know they're on the, well, they could do with being a bit bigger, but they're adequate for now. I'm probably going to do a bare metal reinstall of Windows and FSX and everything, so that's not something I'm looking forward to. So that's the main news. The next thing that's on the horizon for, well, there's two things on the horizon I wanted just to mention. The next thing for the cockpit construction beyond the PC upgrade is to find a way of mounting my bigger screens. You recall I've got three 32-inch TVs which I'm going to use to hopefully replace these smaller screens. To do that, it's going to require a bit of re-engineering. Now the main thing I've noticed since I started to think about this seriously is those screens are obviously going to extend much further out beyond the edges, which means that these pillars of the timber frame that's holding everything together are going to be in the way. Now I could just live with that, and you know, it's like having extra bezels. That's the first thing I could do. The second thing I could do is try and streamline those so they look a little bit more like, you know, the infrastructure of an aircraft, which is essentially the same thing. You know, they're still going to be in the way. I'll move these speakers. You know, these speakers are very much in the way, but I can put these up the top or something like that. The other thing I might try and do is somehow open up that structure so that support isn't there. I haven't thought about how to do that yet, so look out for that as well. So that's about it. I'll be continuing with the Twin Otter obviously in FSX, maybe in X-Plane as well. I'm going to do some comparison videos hopefully of those two once the X-Plane version is up and running. Hoping to branch out and look at some new aircraft as well. Thinking of looking at the Mooney M20J, which is one of the default aircraft in FSX. I think Caronado does a version of that as well. And just as a bit of a heads up, there's going to be some fairly exciting new review action on this channel in the next couple of months, shall we say. I'm not going to say too much about that now, but I will say that it's on an unprecedented scale, at least for my channel, so that should pique your interest and look out for that not too far in the future.